watching eBoxing Champions, and we talking boxing video games. Today, we want to take a look at what the difference is and which one's better between the last two games in the Fight Night series. That's right, Fight Night Champion versus Fight Night Round 4. So let's get it. So check it out. So most people have played, if they've played any of the Fight Night games, most people have played Fight Night Champion. It's the OG, basically. That's what a lot of people look at it. It's basically like the one that is, you can still play it online. The servers are still up for it. But it's also like, it's got like a really good storyline. Most people know a little bit about Andre Bishop by now. Most people kind of like, they're familiar with his story and everything like that. As we look today at what the main differences are between Fight Night Round 4 and Fight Night Champion, first we have to kind of like take into account the fact that EA Sports really did make a lot of really big changes between these two games. So in 2009, Fight Night Round 4 came out, and it came out on the heels of Fight Night Round 3, which a lot of people are saying Fight Night Round 3 is just the best one. It's the best one. And I have a sneaking suspicion as to why. Fight Night Round 3 is very, very intuitive. It's very, very easy to learn, but there's literally no recovery frames in Fight Night Round 3. There's no delay between leaning left and then returning to neutral, leaning right. There's no delay. As soon as you make the inputs, you see exactly that displayed on screen. So there's no delay, so I feel like that's why people really like it. Not very realistic, extremely arcade-like. You see the parries are also extremely exaggerated. The parries literally, they freeze the opponent for about a second, and they just leave a big open window for you to counter them. So it's kind of silly. It's also got one of the same problems as Undisputed has that makes Undisputed so trash, is where you can only punch with your head on the line. So it might be on par with Champion, but if you were to compare Fight Night Round 3 to Fight Night Round 4 in earnest, really there's really no comparison. The recovery frames add a level of realism, plus obviously the 60 frames per second. The crazy punch selection, it's just better. But what is the difference really between Fight Night Champion and Fight Night Round 4? Well, the main difference is really the storyline. In Champion, they removed a huge portion of the gameplay so that they could put in this storyline for Andre Bishop. Now, Fight Night Round 3 doesn't have that engrossing storyline, which is basically like an interactive movie. It literally is an interactive movie. The game even calls it a movie. So it took up a lot of space, took up a lot of development time. It just took up a lot. They pivoted hard from Fight Night Round 4, which is really, really deeply engrossing gameplay. They took it basically to the limit. Fight Night Round 3 was kind of like dipping their toes into the water of a complex boxing game. Fight Night Round 4 took it to the extreme. There's no other game that is this advanced that I know of besides Love Seat Shorty's product. And that one, it's got all kinds of crazy layers to that gameplay that not even Fight Night Round 4 has. So I'm really excited to see what Love Seat Shorty does with that. But when it comes to the issue at hand, Round 4 versus Champion, you can't talk about a game without talking about the controls, and you can't compare these two games without comparing their controls. Champion has this interesting control scheme that basically allows you to mess up. So if you miss the straight, then you'll throw a flared straight, which the game registers as a straight, and you can see right here if you look at the heavy back drill, there is no flared straight, there's no overhand, there's no hooker cuts. It doesn't even register those different punches as different punches at all. Whereas the difference here with Round 4's new total punch control is very rigid. It's not going to forgive you. If you miss, then you just missed, and you just didn't get to throw that punch. So a lot of people really complained about that because, obviously it's very unforgiving. if you don't hit the right input, nothing close is going to come out. The game is not going to compensate for you. You just didn't hit the right input. So because EA Canada decided to make it a little bit easier, they had to take a lot of the actual punches out of the game. So in Fight Night Round 4, you've got 7 different jabs. The center, the slip inside, the slip outside. These are all head jabs. Then at the bottom, you've got the 2 jabs straight to the belly, one kind of upright and one kind of ducking down. And then you've got the other jab from the left, and then the other jab from the right. So that's 7 different jabs you can throw at a person while standing still. That doesn't include the step back jab, the power jab, combos with the jab, double jabs, level jabs. Doesn't include any of that. I'm just saying, like, if you were to just stand still, there's a lot of punches in Fight Night Round 4. A lot of them. And that punch variety really adds a lot to the actual layers of the gameplay. Because let's take a look at the same fighter, Ricky Hatton, in Fight Night Champion. R.I.P. Ricky. Great champion. Great champion. Ricky the Hitman. So he's got the jab to the head, he's got the leaning inside jab to the head, and he's got the jab to the body. And those are the only 3 jabs that he has. That's it. That's all he's got. That's all they gave him. So if we compare these side by side, then we can see on the left, Fight Night Round 4, he's got way more jabs. Way more jabs. Over twice as many jabs. Literally over twice as many jabs in Fight Night Round 4. So there's less individual punches. There's less combinations. What about the footwork? When it comes to Fight Night Champion and Fight Night Round 4, the footwork is actually very similar. So there's all these different speeds. You've got the stationary bounce when you're very lightly pressing the stick. Then there's a slow step in both of them. Then there's a medium speed step, right? Then there's the gallop, right, where you can really cover a lot of ground. And then there's the dash, where you can very quickly slide in one direction, but only for a step. Like sprinting one step basically is a dash. In both games, they both have that. As far as footwork goes, I'm pretty much gonna write that both of them are equal. Fight Night Round 4 and Fight Night Champion, they're basically the same. Now, there's a huge difference when it comes to defense, though. A huge difference. And this is really what sets these 2 games apart. Defense in Fight Night Round 4 is nuanced, layered, very difficult, takes a completely different level of mastery, versus defense in Fight Night Champion is basically just auto blocking. You just hold the block button, you just pump the block. Don't get me wrong, I've seen some really skilled defensive players in Fight Night Champion, but they use head movement, and your head movement is weird. So the degree to which you can actually move your head is dictated by the stats instead of the speed at which you can move your head, which is the way that it is in Fight Night Round 4. Round 4, the defense is just a lot better. You can block up and down instead of just holding the block button. And not only that, but you get to actually move your block to one side of your body or the other as it's up or down, because you get to actually lean with your defense. The head movement is so intuitive that you basically get to, it's not exactly 6-axis blocking, but I think it's actually a little bit better in my opinion. If we're just talking just straight up defense, Fight Night Champion's defense is trash. You know, another thing to really think about is the head movement. That's actually a really big deal in this game. Head movement is trash in Fight Night Champion. When you first start the game, it is trash. There's things that you literally just can't do until you level up your head movement, which is weird. And in my opinion, that's the wrong way to run a game about boxing. But hey, that's what they did. And people swear up and down that this is the best one they ever made. So as far as leveling up and everything like that, the that's kind of whack in Champion because it's all based on XP, which is kind of trash in my opinion. You know, I get it, it's a video game and stuff like that, but in round 4, it's just so much nicer because you get to actually use the mini games themselves, like your actual training sessions. They train a specific attribute, you know what I mean? So if you want to train your head movement, then you actually have to train on the maze bag, and it's not just, oh, you have to do a random mini game and then you get points and then you can apply those points to whatever attributes you want, like in Champion, which I think is kind of, I don't know, that's trash. To me, that is trash. Like, that's basura. So I think that as far as training goes, you know, the actual training progression system in Fight Night Round 4 is a whole lot better. Not only that, the crossover value of the actual training mini games is way better in round 4 as well. So not only do you get the related points, say for instance, if you're doing maze bag because you want to increase your head movement, not only are you increasing your stat head movement, but you're actually, it actually forces you to do the head movement in a way that you would need to do it in order to avoid punches in the actual ring. The heavy bag combo drill, that actually does teach you how to throw each individual punch, how to throw them in sequence, how to throw them in combination. The combinations it gives you are not necessarily the most useful ones, but it does teach you at least how to throw each punch and how to throw them in combination. So that's kind of cool. As far as customization goes, there's a lot more customization options when it comes to random bullshit that doesn't really matter in Fight Night Champion, in my opinion. Like, you get a lot more hairstyles that you can change the hair colors of people and shit like that in Fight Night Champion a lot more. Okay, that's fine. But, like, as far as, you know, the actual meat and potatoes, like the style of the actual fighters, they're basically the same. There's like a couple more different styles that you can use in Fight Night Champion, but they're only aesthetic. They don't actually add or take away any, they don't give you any statistical advantage. It's literally just the animations that change. So as far as customization goes, I would say Fight Night Round 4 gets a very slight edge. Because of all the gloves, the block styles, the stances, all that stuff, it's basically all the same, except in Fight Night Round 4, those things actually affect your stats if you change one of those attributes, whereas in Fight Night Champion, it doesn't actually change your stats. Like, it doesn't change it just changes what it looks like. So, you know, I would say that just having the different hairstyles and being able to put tattoos and stuff like that, really not that big of a deal, honestly. I think they're about the same. So taking it all into account, which is the better boxing game? Well, I think it kind of depends on what you like. If you like a more simple, easy, kind of arcade-like experience, then you should try Fight Night Champion, because it's a lot of fun, right? You don't have to really spend a whole lot of time learning the mechanics of the game. It's very, very simple. There are very few punches to throw. The defense is very, very dumbed down. Like, it's a very, very simple game. And you can very easily just jump into it and enjoy the storyline. On the other hand, if you are kind of a person that pays attention to the sport of boxing a little bit, and you think that maybe you might enjoy an experience that is more nuanced, a slightly stiffer learning curve, just a harder game to learn, but ultimately more rewarding, then you definitely want to try Fight Night Round 4. Because if you like boxing, then this Fight Night Round 4 is definitely the game for you. If you like this video, hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want to see some more boxing content from me, hit that bell icon so you know when I drop another video, and I will see you in the next one.
Most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing. Most motherfuckers don't know shit. Most motherfuckers don't know shit. Most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing. Like what? Most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing. Most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing. Most motherfuckers don't know shit. Most motherfuckers don't know shit. Most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing. Like what?